And now, our feature presentation.
The best
in the world
is right here, right now.
Whether you like it or don't like it, pal, learn to love it.
Ladies and gentlemen,
welcome.
All right, listen up.
Now it's our time to step forward. It's time to bring the NWA back into the spotlight.
I was thinking that it might be a good idea if you and I formed an alliance.
Let's get ready to rumble!
Attention, everyone. Welcome to the greatest wrestling program in the world. Ladies and gentlemen, can I please have your attention? Stop what you're doing and listen.
It's the Alliance Guys podcast with your hosts Kevin Frazier, DKM, and Jay Cal.
Six people in there right now.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Alliance Guys podcast, a presentation of Alliance-Wrestling.com, your number one source for news and information for the National Wrestling Alliance. As you can see, we're down a man. We're down a guy, so we're going to count on you, our viewing audience, to pick up what DKM dropped. Because as you can see, you've got the World Junior Heavyweight Champion right there, Kevin Frazier. I mean, they don't call him the World Junior Champion, but he still is in my heart, and he should be in yours too. And of course, I'm Jay Cal, and we've been doing this Alliance blog, this Alliance Guys podcast now for 13 years. Can you guys believe that? 13 years.
13. Jeez. Jay, so does this predate some of your kids?
Yeah, it predates two of them. You remember Lily. You remember Lily, and she'd come up, you know, she's about 6 years old. Yeah, she's about to be 17.
Wow. God.
She's just a year out from graduating from high school. So, well, yeah, now I made
you feel need help. If you need help killing somebody, just let me know.
Don't say that on the air.
They won't find the body. Okay, we're kidding. Wink, wink.
So,
man, I just want to say what's up to all the people in the chat. You guys are so faithful for waiting on us. We appreciate it. We're happy to see all you guys, and it ought to be a fun ride today because me and Jay have not talked one bit about the show off air, so all of our opinions right now are going to be fresh. Usually we got a little chat going or have a little pre-talk, but this one's just going to be totally raw, totally off the cuff, so it ought to be fun. I look forward to hearing it, to hearing what Jay has to say about the show, and I also look forward to hearing what you, the people, have to say, because NWA POWERRR SURGE, number one for me, was not expected, and number two, Jay, I'm going to shake my head and just let you take it from here, brother.
All right, so, here's already deflated, right? I don't think that this is a bad show. I don't think the first one was a bad show. I just feel like these shows. Okay, let's preface. Whoa, say it, don't spray it, buddy. Let's preface a few things, right? The first thing is, you're not paying for POWERRR SURGE, right? Your subscription to the NWA block, whatever you call it, subscription service, whatever it is 3 episodes of NWA POWERRR. And then you have limited access to their pay-per-views. So you have the opportunity to check out some of the older pay-per-views, like the pop-up anniversary show, the first show that they put out, or like the Hard Times. You can go back and watch Hard Times, or the first Georgia Public Broadcasting Studios pay-per-view they put out was Into the Fire. That's what the
Into the Fire.
That's what the subscription service gives you. Okay, the icing on the cake is, you could go check out all the old episodes of NWA Power, but then they throw out this POWERRR SURGE. This is free. It's a freebie. Now, the thing about that is, if they're going to put it out for free, I think they should make it available, and DK actually said this on the pre-party. DK was in the chat and said, hey, they should just make it free on Fight TV, because then it would make a little bit more sense. Because if you're putting this as part of my package, I'm already paying for this. I've watched.
We've already seen 2/3 of the show.
I've watched every single minute.
Replays and stuff we already saw.
I paid $4.99 to watch every single episode. So I don't know why you're making this available to me like this is a thing. This shouldn't be a thing. There's if it's only 3 episodes, okay, I have to accept that. But just make this available to everybody on Fight or I don't know. I guess you can't put it on YouTube, but make it for free on Fight. That makes sense to me. But putting it like as part of this package and making it seem like, oh, here you go, you guys deserve this. No, this is a waste of time. We're gonna talk about it because there was some cool things. There was some new information. There's some things that were on the show that were kind of cool. But for the most part, this is a recap show. And if you guys are here with us every week, we are your recap show. There's no point in watching this. It doesn't do anyone a lick of good. So, with that being said, the show kicks off. The first thing they do is get to that Thunder Rosa segment. They break down the women's wrestling summit, or no wrestling summit, whatever it was. It was a mess. We thought it was a mess then. It was continued to be a mess now. And then shortly after that, Thunder Rosa sits down with May and with Joe Galli. And I will say this, Kev, let me know how you feel. May Valentine has been kind of refreshing. And her in this role, I mean, she does a pretty good job. I'd almost say you don't even need Joe Galli there. This should just be like the May Valentine show.
I can't disagree, because I'm not trying to take any credit for this, but I will say maybe, just maybe, I was the one who brought this up first or initially, that May Valentine seems to be has turned into a pretty big asset, especially in programming like this. And when we get to the Trevor Murdoch interview, she pretty much nailed him to the wall a couple of times. She did the same thing to Thunder Rosa. She did the same thing to Nick Aldis. Her line of questioning, I think, is really good. The way she asks the questions, I think, is really good. But that's the good thing. That's the good part. The bad part, Jay, is that May is as good as she was. She's not that good. I mean, she's good. She's better than, I'm not going to try to use some kind of illustration because I may say something offensive. But
don't do that.
She's above average, which is better than she was. So she's improved a lot. But she's not Pope on the mic or anything.
No.
And that's what I'm saying. I mean, and that says a lot about Joe Galli. Now, I have a question, Jay, and you're probably going to cover this too. But why, when they were calling the match, and why does it feel like timing-wise, the timing was all off on this show?
Oh,
I felt like it wasn't supposed to air this week, because they're talking about Jennacide, like she hasn't already wrestled Camille. There's just some stuff that I thought timing-wise was a little bit wonky.
They absolutely goofed. There was a huge gaffe in this. There's no other way to explain it. I mean, they full-on came out there, and Velvet Sky said this was a debut match for both of these girls, and it was like, no, their debut match was weeks ago. I really felt like maybe the way that they originally aired this, you're right, has gotten all kinds of wonky, all kinds of mixed up. And you hear it in more than just this part, but specifically this match. I mean, they botched it. They botched the editing. Even more so. So let's get back to. I mean, we're gonna get to the match anyways, but I'll just say this real quick. Sure. They rushed to get Camille in the ring with Jennacide, which I still think is a pretty good match, and I like the idea behind it. But I felt like if they put this match first, it would have given that a little bit of room to breathe between her and Camille.
It would have been better.
Yeah.
It would have been better because now Jennacide has built up some momentum to face Camille. You built up Jennacide, and now Camille is wrestling somebody. Not that honestly. And again, so I'm glad DK's not here to give me the old school wrestling. Back in the day, build them up for 6 months and blah blah blah. Okay, I agree that you need to build stuff up, DK. I love you, but it's not 1986. Like, a couple of matches is good enough to build somebody up. Don't get me wrong, but at the same time, the talent in some areas of the show is a little thin, and no one can say that right off the bat Jennacide wasn't a contender. Just from the minute she walked in the ring, and showed she's got a very physical presence and she's a good athlete. That immediately sets her above some of the other girls that I've seen. And this is not a knock, but look, believability is big to me, and if a little wrestler isn't more athletic than the big wrestler doesn't have to be as great of a technician, because pure power and strength will overdo technicality if that technician isn't like elite. And I'll say this to show you, back when I used to train amateur wrestlers, I used to know a ton of awesome moves. Like, I'm a technical guy, right? But the stronger I got, the less technical moves I needed. Because I got strong, I got in shape, and I didn't need as much technical skill, though it came in handy. I could just be stronger and more powerful and better conditioned than the other person. And again, that's something that that when I watch a match, for it to be believable, that's why some of the matches I see today, when I see smaller guys that aren't even in better shape than the bigger guy, are out there, doing stuff that's not believable. If case in point, that match were to happen, say, on the street. So Jennacide to me was immediately believable just from her prowess and athletic ability. Long way around to get to that, but to me, I feel like if I'm going to say something like that, I should explain what I mean by that. So, bam.
Well, and I think you did a good job of that. I felt like, again, you called it out. There's elements of the show that seem misplaced. And what's really weird about that, too, is, so if you think back to the last POWERRR Surge, right, we got Mims and Jeremiah Plunkett, and that match really didn't build much momentum for either man. Mims ended up winning it, but there was no overlying story to be told. It's not like we're seeing Mims now challenging, Jax Dane in a match. It was just a match. And I feel like, wow, if you guys did that, then you could have put that women's match on that episode of POWERRR Surge, and a lot of this would have flowed so much better. A very simple fix, and it's like, we questioned it, like, why is this match here on POWERRR Surge? What point does it serve other than to just give us a dark match? Some sort of wrestling to go with this, 15-minute recap. But they could have put a better match there, and if you would have put,
well, at least it would have told a better story for the what they're doing in the women's division. Your point is, I hadn't even thought of that, Jay. So maybe you should do some fantasy booking.
Yeah, look, I'm telling you, like, you and I could probably do a fantasy booked show, and I guarantee you, our matchups would probably make a lot more sense than what we've seen on TV thus far. But let's get back to Thunder Rosa, because here she is,
Right.
Again, May Valentine with the hard-hitting questions. Thunder Rosa speaks about giving other women opportunities, which is 100% true, right? Like,
sure.
Let's talk about this. She opened up Mission Pro last year. AEW has been using all kinds of the talent that's been coming through Mission Pro. I don't know all of the names. I'm not a big AEW viewer, but
sure.
I'm sure some of these guys here in the chat can list some of them. But like Jennacide has been on AEW. Alexia Grassi has been on AEW. Some of the other talents, I think Skye Blue had been on AEW. So, look, she's created opportunity. Hell, it's even evident here tonight on that show where we're seeing a spotlight match featuring two of, what we would consider her girls right there in the NWA. So you can't really dismiss that.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead. Keep going.
I just thought that was cool. The fact that she said it and she put it out there.
I agree, but I felt like Thunder Rosa's. Again, I felt like May Valentine kind of ran circles around her a little bit in that. And again, look, okay. Now this is something I have to say too, that Thunder Rosa is the baby face of the company, at least as far as I know. And it's fine for May to go out there and she made Trevor look stupid too. I guess if they're gonna do questioning, they should be setting Thunder Rosa up to look good.
Yeah. And
I think in certain elements of the interview, Thunder Rosa looked bad.
Yeah.
And I don't mean terrible. I just mean, my point is it's not that I thought she looked horrible. It's that the goal should be to put. I mean, Thunder Rosa is as good as anybody in wrestling today.
Yeah.
And you should be happy to have somebody like that on your show. And I feel like if you're going to put her out there in an interview, set her up with 3 good questions that she's ready to answer, and she can go out there and really exercise her skills in promos. And I felt like the segment felt almost as if she didn't know what questions she was going to be asked, or that she wasn't maybe prepared for those questions. And again, listen, for those watching that don't know, wrestling is a work, and that's actually how we can make moments happen that don't always have to just be, oh my gosh, it just happened kind of thing. Those things happen too, but I mean, it could have really set up Thunder Rosa better to look better in this than I felt like she did.
You're 100% right, and I do kind of feel like, as much as I said nice things about May, and I do believe those, I feel like she kind of, and I don't know if this was her questioning or someone feeding her these questions to ask, but that question that we get almost immediately, May asks if Thunder Rosa working other places affects loyalty. I'm poorly paraphrasing it, but
right.
Just the way that you ask that question, it automatically makes Thunder Rosa look like a bad guy. And then creatively, Thunder May says, so what do you say to your critics? Well, I got to be honest, I'm one of the most critical persons out there speaking about the NWA, and I have no problem with her working at Mission Pro or AEW or anywhere else. And I feel like maybe this was an inside question from the NWA office. This is a shoot, brother. I think they were trying to make her look bad. And it's I don't understand why you would do that. I don't see the benefit of throwing that out there. And Thunder Rosa answers honestly, hey, money's money, business is business. I'm going to go where the money is. And but I just thought that was it was a misdirect. May asked the question and says, so, what are your what's your answer to those critics? And it's no one's out there criticizing her for that. No one.
Right.
The AEW fanboys want her to go full time in AEW. NWA
and
fans.
I don't think anybody cares.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know, guys in the chat. Do you guys care whether Thunder Rosa works at other places or not? And the truth is that this is a funny thing. Let's discuss this topic for a second, because I was going to discuss it anyway. But the whole Trevor Murdoch, he's out of work for 30 days. He's got to feed his family. The guy's under contract, didn't he?
Yeah.
Don't we know that? Okay. We're not stupid. So how are you going to act like there's a pretend world over here, and then Thunder Rosa, you're going to come over here and you're going to break the fourth wall in your pretend world just to make Thunder Rosa look bad?
Yeah.
It's kind of dumb. Why are we discussing stuff that happening outside of the National Wrestling Alliance on National Wrestling Alliance TV? And why is Thunder Rosa's reality that we all know about okay to discuss and acknowledge, but we all know Trevor Murdoch ain't losing no pay because of the storyline. So again, it's it just kind of feels hokey to me. That's all. I just am to your point, I felt like it was a bad line of questioning, And if this is a passive aggressive way for the NWA to take a shot at their like biggest star, it's dumb. That's dumb. That's a bad move. I felt like that segment should have all been building up to Thunder Rosa cutting a 5-star promo on Camille.
Or
That's it.
At the very least, like, if you're gonna start asking her questions about traveling outside of the promotions, why not ask her something like, do you feel like your schedule in AEW might have had a toll on you not winning that match against Camille? Like, there's a way that you could have still phrased that question that would have put the emphasis on the feud with Camille, and that the fact that they're both going for that same opportunity to wrestle Serena Deeb. There was not even one question about Serena Deeb. No one's even mentioned Serena Deeb by name. They keep saying that the title, the number one contendership, but they're not even talking about who the champion is. It's these little tiny things that really just irk the heck out of me. And it's like, you could have played this up a different way. Hey, Thunder Rosa, thank you for what you've done for women's wrestling. You really are an inspiration. Tell me what you think about the Women's World Champion, Serena Deeb. Tell me what you think about Camille. Tell me about your time in AEW. Now that your feud with Britt Baker's done, what is your goal for AEW, and how is that going to impact the NWA? These are kind of questions that you could have had this real moment, right? This legitimate, like, real feeling, and you could have had Thunder Rosa look like a star, but the way they did it just didn't come off as good.
No, I agree, and again, I don't remember all the details of the promo. And just to answer, there's a good question that Ron Gibson had in the chat. He said, Kevin must be happy to hear that Jazz is coming back to the NWA as a trainer.
Let's get to that. Let's get to that later, because I do want to talk about that.
Okay. If you want to talk about that, then Ron, hang on, because we are going to discuss that later.
Because we're all
back to this part of. Go ahead.
We're all big Jazz fans, but let's get to that in a little bit.
Right. I just want to final thought, because I don't want to belabor on this too long, because I don't understand when you have a talented. Wait, hold on.
Do you read what Ron just wrote?
Do I want to read it out loud?
Yeah, read it out loud.
It would have been funny if the follow-up to that question was, what music do you like, Rosa? Don't you think you should try out Billy's theme song for your intro?
Ron's throwing firecrackers tonight. Let me tell you, man, he's bringing some heat.
What does Rob have a job to lose? Like that's the part that I think is kind of ridiculous, that we out here in TV land or YouTube land, because we have no job to lose, can spit the truth, but the people within your own company can't even tell you the truth. Man. Got something in the oven that's burning. So sorry guys for the real life is happening here. I want to say too, you bring up a great point too about Serena Deeb. I have a conspiracy theory right now about Serena Deeb, and my conspiracy theory for that is that I don't know if they know if she's going to continue to be their champion.
Well, yeah,
that's why they're not bringing her name up.
And that's fine, because I don't really expect her to be champion either. You know what I mean? Like, I get that, but with that being said, I don't want her. If she's not going to come and defend the title, okay, that's fine. But, like, there's a reason why she's wearing the belt. That was signed off by Billy. Like, it wasn't. None of this stuff happens in a vacuum. If she's not coming to the NWA to defend the title, if either Thunder Rosa or Camille's going to AEW to win it, that's all good and fine. It just doesn't make sense. Like, we knew back in December that they were planning on doing these TV tapings initially in December. Serena Deeb even did an interview where she talked about that the NWA was getting ready to go back to tapings. We knew that back in December. So we know that at some point she was supposed to be a part of it. And I still honestly believe she's going to be a part of it. Like, I still think that's a thing. Uh-oh. Now Jay's camera just went out. We're having a great show tonight, guys.
Sorry, guys. Sorry. I'm having some technical difficulties in the kitchen now.
My camera just went out, so give me just a second. So yeah, I feel like they knew what was going to happen. They knew what was going on, and I feel like this question really was just a way to kind of.
Give me a second. I'll be back.
Yeah.
Sorry, guys.
I really do feel like that was just a way to throw her underneath the bus. And while Kevin is taking care of his fire, can Kevin fix it?
Sorry, guys.
Probably not.
Can't fix it.
So that takes us to the next.
Okay, I'm gonna put my audio on mute for a second, guys.
Okay.
I apologize.
All right. So, obviously that caused a little ruckus there. Sorry about that, guys. I'm still trying to figure out what I'm trying to do here. There we go. Yeah. See, we got placeholders now. Okay, so obviously, when everything went down in that interview, it just seemed a little odd. It seemed a little strange. I don't think that was a good look for the NWA. Again, I feel like May was just doing her job. Someone fed her that question. I don't think she was out there trying to really throw Thunder Rosa under the bus. But, nevertheless, next we get to that women's match.
There we go.
And we were about to talk about the women's match. And now that Kevin's back, we can do that. We got Jennacide versus Skye Blue. Like, I know we talked a little bit about the match earlier. The couple things that I wanted to point out is, number one, Skye Blue wears Skechers in the ring. Kevin, how could someone wear Skechers Chucks? What are those?
So before I answer any questions, I'm getting roasted in the chat room right now. So I was spitting so much fire, number one, that I set off the fire alarm. True. Can I fix it? I took a book, this book, and I shot on the fire thing, busted it, knocked it across the room. My wife. So, and again, I got another one that my thoughts are so fiery that alarm should always be going off. I can't disagree with that. I agree with that 100%.
Are you ignoring Woodland Goblins? How many Kevin Frazier's does it take to change a battery in a smoke detector?
0. I just broke the smoke detector. I just took that book and bow. Now I'm gonna have to buy a new one for my landlord, but that's okay. Skechers in the ring. I've already roasted and toasted Slice Boogie for his Nikes. I guess it's just a different era now. I guess. I mean, maybe I'm just dated. Terry McDermott, message retracted, brother. Google did not like whatever it was you said. Maybe you should say it again, but in maybe code words.
It still showed up. It still showed up on the live screen, so it said like someone could rewind the video and read it. But he was talking about the women's tag team division. Thank you, Woodland Goblin. It was the Converse All Stars. It was the Converse All Stars. It wasn't Skechers. Okay. Thank you, Woodland Goblin.
I mean, that's what that I can go with Converse. I mean, if it's a style statement, I liked. Is it Skye Blue?
Yeah.
I liked. She's the one that wrestled Jennacide.
Yes.
I liked her. I mean, I can't say like I liked her a lot, but I thought she was pretty good. My thing is that, like, if it was 1 week, just once, and it never happened after that, I wouldn't harp so much on this point I'm about to make.
Hey, we got a new follower there. Real quick, thank you, Brian Judd, for giving us a follow here on Twitch. Really appreciate that, brother. Thank you for checking us out.
Thanks for the follow. So I like, how many botches or semi-botches do we have to have on a taped show? You know, like, I felt like in that match we had a couple botches, and I'm just like, every match I'm getting to the point where like I'm watching it kind of like on cringe because I'm like, is there going to be a botch in this match? And that's not good.
Yeah.
This is not, botchamania. I have been on botchamania. I have botched moves, okay? This is not, I have been on botchamania, okay? And it wasn't my fault. So anyways, it's never mine. It's never the wrestler who botches its fault. It's always the other guys. But no, I just go like, yeah, but one botch, like one show is fine, but it's a tape show. And if it's my show and I'm paying wrestlers and it's a tape show and I'm paying all that money for production and they go and the match goes out there and it's not very good, go back out there. Wrestle again. These matches are not more than 6 minutes. And as a wrestler, you should want your best product to be out there. This is if you're a young wrestler and you're trying to make it, like the NWA could be a great opportunity for you to get seen elsewhere. Anyway, I'm off that, but anyways, if we're talking about the match, I thought the match was good actually. The funny part is it was one of the better matches they've had in the whole season.
Not only was it
in terms of just in general.
I liked a lot of the selling, right? Like I liked there was a part where this is another thing that just kind of bothered me too. Velvet Skye made a point to point out, Skye Blue is trained from Chicago Pro Wrestling, whatever, and she's trained in Lucha Libre. Well, maybe she should do some of the Lucha Libre right now. And I'm like, she's been doing it the entire match.
She just did a tilt-a-whirle. Like, wait a minute.
And
yeah,
then
she just did a tilt-a-whirle into an octopus, and I thought I got you. I thought the same thing. I was like, she just did Lucha Libre.
She's doing it.
But I not Joe Galli's best performance this week.
And I don't. Maybe this match wasn't ever really suspected to be on TV. Like I don't honestly know what the plan was, but like, I felt like this match might have been filmed the night after the pay-per-view, and they just kind of were winging it because they didn't really know what they were going to do with them. But I thought that again, some of the moves were cool, like you said, that the tilt-a-whirl to the flying head scissors into the octopus stretch, I thought was really cool. I also liked.
But that was preceded by a botch.
Which one?
Because the tilt-a-whirl into the octopus stretch, and actually I felt like what Jennacide was thinking was better than what actually happened. But so Jennacide doesn't move, whatnot, and then old girl Skye Blue goes to hit the ropes as Jennocide's getting up, and she goes to give the tilt-a-whirl, and apparently Skye Blue is like, I'm not ready for that yet. So she kind of adjusts it into like a lucha pass and then hits it. And I'm like, it'd have been better if you'd have just hit it right away. But these are the little things that I'm talking about where it's like, if you think that stuff doesn't matter, you just don't know what you're talking about. It does matter, especially when you don't have a lot of matches going out there. And there is, look, if there's anything competitive-wise in wrestling today, it's work rate as far as the moves and the way the moves are done. The stakes have never been higher. The storytelling has been better back in the 90s for sure. In the 80s, the storytelling was much better. But the in-ring stuff today, I don't care what DK says, I don't care what anybody says, is 10 times better. If they just learned to sell, we'd be in another golden age.
And the one last thing I want to say about the one move that I really thought was cool is she tried to do that arm wringer with the ropes, and Jenna just didn't sell it at all. And I was like, that's awesome, because like, she's a big girl. How are you gonna flip her over? She's 5'10". Right. She's easily 175, 180 pounds. She's a big girl, and yeah. I thought that was great. That was one of the highlights.
No, I agree with you. No, I agree with you on that. But again, when old girl goes to jump up the ropes, when she goes to do the bing 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 up, she didn't really hit that 100%.
Yeah.
She had to like, whoa, pause. You could tell it wasn't like fluent. And here's a little secret. But if I'm on the other end of that, I've had a guy. I've wrestled luchadors before, and my buddy Lowrider used to do that move on me all the time. And if I saw that his momentum was staggering a little bit, I mean, I'm gonna try to make sure he doesn't. You know, the move we both want the move to go off great. So because we both get the cheer when the thing goes right. So, you know, they're talking about how manly Jennacide is in here, and I'm like, I don't know what kind of men you're looking at.
Man, everyone that doesn't like her, I mean, go look at her Instagram account. I've heard a couple people say that she's not a good-looking girl, but I don't know, man. I think she's all right.
Well, she does have the face paint on. I get that, but
yeah,
you know,
look.
I dig Jennacide. Like I think she's got a lot to improve on, but when you compare her to the rest of the roster, she's one of the more talented people that they've got on the roster.
And then look at it this way too, right? So we're talking about this women's division, right? And so far, we still have Melina on the roster, who we haven't seen in the ring. We have Taryn Terrell, who again, I guess she's injured, but we still haven't seen her in the ring. And you've got these workhorses coming out of Mission Pro, Alexia Graciara. I know I'm killing it. Sorry, guys. She's great. You know, the match she had with Camille was really solid. And then you've got these two, Skye Blue and Jennacide. Again, they've been looking really good. It's like, maybe you don't need to spend all this money on these TNA, WWE hand-me-downs, and let's just go with the Mission Pro female roster. Let's just bring all of them in.
Well, I mean, they're outworking the men half the time. So, I mean, and again, that's not neither here nor there. I mean, that's not me saying that they shouldn't or that they can't, because if we're going to talk about Jazz later on the show, Jazz has been out working men since before I got in the business 20 years ago. So
we'll get to her momentarily. So that was the one and only match. And again, it's funny because we're being extremely critical of it, but it was, Kevin and I both agree that it was a pretty good match. And it's been a lot better than some of the other matches we've seen on Power as a whole. So it just goes to show you, this show, we're always going to be critical. We're going to tell you when things are good. We're going to tell you when things are bad. And this match was pretty good, but we still are going to tear it apart and find the good parts and the bad parts to it, right?
Well, and honestly, like to sum up that match, that was one of the better matches they've had on this series. So, yeah, I may have made a couple points to things on the work rate, but on the level of work rate, it was definitely the upper echelon. It's just that when I rate work rate, I'm not rating it in a vacuum. I'm not going to rate NWA Power against NWA Power as if there's not other wrestling going on outside, you know, because that is the competition. And they should be thinking that. And they should be thinking, you know, okay, you know, AEW probably does too much. WWE probably does too much talking in the ring. And, you know, NXT finds itself somewhere in there in between, and some of the other types of programming like ROH, you know, is much more wrestling heavy, or like what we used to cover when we were covering United Wrestling Network, which is very wrestling heavy.
Yeah.
Again, it's just I can't compare it in a vacuum.
Yeah.
I have to compare it to what's out there and just say this is a 5 is this, and this is a 3, and this is why.
I was actually talking to Ron offline, and one of the shows that I've started to really enjoy is like Championship Wrestling from Memphis. And I know they don't have a single star on the show. Some of those guys are well known in the Memphis area. The women's wrestling is trash, don't get me wrong, but the actual wrestling in the ring, I mean it's like, wow, why is this so much better than what I'm paying for on Thursday or on Tuesday, excuse me. It's like it's a free show. I'm watching it on YouTube for free, but the wrestling and the storytelling is pretty cohesive, and it's like, I get it. I watched one episode and I'm in.
Right, and where is it at?
It's in Memphis.
Oh. I mean, maybe the work rate capital of the territories back in the day.
Yeah, back in the day.
I mean, that's where Macho Man came from.
Ooh, yeah.
That man could work. That's probably the best, maybe the best ever. And I'm not forgetting Ricky Steamboat and Eddie Guerrero and those guys. But
whoa,
dude, when you know what you're looking at and you watch Macho Man, I mean, Macho Man would do things. Okay, he was so good at the thing you're supposed to do. Now, I might blow you guys' mind here a little bit, but just bear with. These are things that maybe me and Rodney Mack would talk about, or Bull. Like, he would do things that he was he could do what he was supposed to do in terms of what we're supposed to do as wrestlers so well that he could like mold it and do and tweak it and twist it and do stuff with it, and it still was what you were supposed to do in ways that like I can go back and watch and go, man, that was amazing. But like, could I have come up with that out of thin air? That's what makes, to me, Macho Man so amazing. Not that you can't just go back and go, oh man, like instead of working the leg, he sprained his ankle, took his boot off, and wrestled with a shoe off, instead of like all the other crap that everybody does all the time. Just something simple like that, and he still accomplished the exact same thing in the exact same time. And you go, and the story got across. It was better than watching a guy limp around the ring the whole time. And again, these are just. Go ahead. Our
boy Kikuchi wanted to point out that he was trained in Canada. Was Kikuchi, right. Since you're the expert, is he from the dungeon? Was he trained in the Hearts, by the Hearts? I never knew that. We'll wait for his answer. Terry McDermott
I do know he was big in Memphis.
Terry McDermott says Elvis was a big fan of Memphis wrestling. Yeah. Anyways.
All right, moving right along.
So that brings us to the Trevor Murdoch interview, the sit-down interview. And, I mean, that was kind of hard for me to watch. And he just got sent home, like just on 7 days ago. He just got sent home. But now he's here, continuity-wise, now he's in the studio talking to May. So he's not home, obviously. He's right there. And so we don't even get to miss him. We don't even get to forget about him. We don't even, like, he's not even a memory because he was just here in the main event last week, and now he's here talking to May Valentine. And to me, it's like, come on. It's the little things that you guys are botching. Mm-hmm. I don't need to see Murdoch on my TV. He's supposed to be gone. Get his ass home. And that's not to say I don't like Murdoch. I see Woodland Goblin says Murdoch cries a lot. Like, I don't have a problem with him. I think he's a good talent. I think he cuts a good promo. He definitely brings energy to the ring. But give me a break. Let me forget about him for a week, because that the whole part of him being suspended is that he's supposed to be off our TV. If you're going to bring him in a promo package or an interview, like, at least let a week go by so we can kind of like miss him. It just didn't make any sense.
No, and we're not even to the content of the interview.
No,
but I want to comment on that before we get to the content of the interview. I agree 100% that he's gone. Why is he on the show?
Right.
I don't get it. Like you said, it's a great. I mean, you just bring up, but again. Okay, we got to talk about what he said, because there's some other things that he said in the interview that I'm going, did I miss something here? So carry on.
Well, I mean, that's kind of where I left off, man. I didn't put a whole lot into it. I know that he was talking about he's made sacrifices, and when he was telling his story, honestly, I couldn't help but think of you, and think about the times where you and Manimal were driving from, Dallas, Fort Worth out to Hollywood. And I know that you guys would stop in Arizona, you guys would stop in New Mexico, you guys would pretty much pick up dates everywhere you could all the way to Hollywood. And I always thought that was such a crazy lifestyle. And so, like, I always wondered, like, how the heck do you guys do it? And it just made me think about you a lot. Because I remember one tour, I know you did a show in Dallas, Fort Worth, and then you started on the road. And I think you did a show in New Mexico. I want to say New Mexico, but it might have been another state. I know you got to Hollywood. You did the TV tapings and all-day TV tapings on Sunday. You jumped in the car, and I know you drove up north because you guys were doing some Hood Slam stuff or something like that. And I was just like, holy crap, man. Like, so much. You're in a car, and you're driving for hours, and then you get to the show, you wrestle, and you get back in the car, and you're driving on the road again. Can you tell us about that, Kev? I mean, we'll get back to Trevor, but...
Sure. The thing is that for me, me and Bull for sure, and for those of you, Bull is Manimal's name, but not real name. That's that's a whole other thing.
It's his nickname.
Actually, Bull's real name is Aaron.
Yeah, I know that.
His shoot name is Aaron, and I just can't call him Aaron. Like even Jazz, like Aaron, I can't. Who is Aaron? No, but so it's interesting because you love what you do. I mean, in a way, this is what you train for, why you work so hard, is to be able to have these kinds of moments. But the other side of it is that most of what Bull and I did, we learned this type of lifestyle from Rodney and Jazz. They were already doing that right when I started. When I started wrestling, they were doing that, and they kind of taught us that way. And it's kind of a last of a dying breed in many ways, just because I can't say that. I know there are guys that do it, so I can't say that no one's doing it anymore. I know plenty of guys that have, and one of the guys that we had on the show not too long back, or a while back, Ricky Starks, is the guy that ain't afraid to pay some dues on the road. We traveled together, a couple times ourselves. So it honestly, it's a blast, because when you're in the car with people that you consider friends, you're not just eating together, but you're going to the gym together. You're staying in the same place, sometimes in the car. But I was in the car guy. Look, if I had to pay for the hotel room because everybody else was broke, because I was the high roller, because I was the world champ, because I was the one wheeling and dealing, kiss stealing, limousine riding, jet flying, so on and so forth, I'd pay for the hotel. But the point is that you're doing this all together with your friends. That makes it a blast. But not just that, but man, you get to go out and wrestle, man. You have your, I mean, that's what it's all about. And I think that's what makes it worth it. And I think for us, me especially, the big payoff was getting to be on television in Hollywood as kind of to me, it was kind of the reward for all the hard work, because, Dave was always so generous typically Dave was going to reward you for your hard work on the show. If you were good, he was going to do something with you and do something good with you. And he always treated me well, and if I wasn't comfortable with a story, or I wanted to have some input, Dave would talk to me and listen to me, and we could work something out. So to me, it was always like, that was the big payoff, is getting to California, getting to be on Hollywood television. And it's funny, I'll never forget, I was I guess it's the Strip, maybe, I don't know what strip it is, one in LA or Hollywood or something, Sunset Strip or something, where the stars are on the ground. And we're walking this strip, and we go into this bar to get a beer. I don't drink anymore, but I used to. And we see this guy at the bar, and he just looks like run down. Down on his luck, like everything that could have gone wrong looks like it's gone wrong in his life. And he says, I've been out here in Hollywood for blankety many years trying to get on TV. And I'm like, here I am, my first time ever in Hollywood. And I'm on TV, wrestling as a world champion, getting to wrestle one of the best young wrestlers in the world at the time, Nick Madrid, having the time of my life with my friends. And to me, you just go, man, this is a privilege. People come out here and like almost die on the street to have an opportunity that I got to do, this Texas boy, like the first time I'm ever here. So, many times that's what you think about, and those are the things that make it worth it. And sometimes you're in the car with 300-pound guys, one of them 400 pounds, and you're in the back corner of a 4-cylinder economy car, and the 400-pound guy is your pillow, and you wake up and there's a big 400-pound nipple in your face. These are the things that you just can't, that life can't take from you once they've happened. So there's your quick little story.
That's awesome. So okay, with that being said, then, Trevor Murdoch kind of talk about, almost like gave his hard time speech, the struggles of trying to get into the ring, whether he's going to pay his mortgage or pay for gas to make his next booking. I mean, how did you feel about hearing all that?
Who believes that? Like, who really believes that? Like, guys, in the chat, who believes that? Nobody's buying that 1985 Dusty Rhodes crap. I'm looking straight into the camera. Nobody's buying that. I love Trevor Murdoch in the ring. I think he's an amazing worker. And then when he's not put in these like positions where he has to like, I don't know if they're making him think on the fly, but it doesn't feel like he's getting proper preparation to answer some of these questions properly for his character. Like this is not the best position to put him in. And I know we knock on him a little bit, but this is bad booking and bad usage. Just like they used Thunder Rosa bad, this is bad usage of a guy that they're trying to push. They can do so much more with Trevor Murdoch. And I understand like what he was saying about Harley Race and everything, like, but make it mean something, like put it in a context where it's like it matters. But giving me this whole line about he can't feed his family because he can't wrestle at the NWA for 30 days. Like, they're not wrestling every week. We all know that. It's not like he can't take bookings outside of the NWA, which is probably where he makes his extra money. I just don't know how, like, who's buying that? So, I don't know. It's a cheesy storyline. It's very dated. And you can do the same thing they're trying to do and do it in a genuine way where we go, wow, maybe that is real. But this...
How did you feel? Okay, so I don't want to sound too classist or classless or anything like that, but I mean, we're talking about a guy who had multiple runs with the WWE. As former tag team champion, he was, not necessarily the main event, but he was far from mid card. I mean, he was a tag team champion. He was on Impact. I mean, at one point he was almost out of the business. Like, when the NWA brought him in, he was almost out of the business. So it's not like wrestling is his primary source of income. Like, maybe it's different now, but the whole thing just felt weird to me. And
Okie.
Yeah, and he doesn't need to be a baby face, and I'm not saying make him a tweener, but like, he's not somebody we should be sympathetic for. He's a guy that should go out there and kick somebody's ass. He should
right,
be...
and I'm gonna butt in here. Can you, like, he's in that, and again, I'm not. It's not an apples to apples. There's just some comparisons here. He's in that stone cold butt kicker. I'm gonna go out there. I'm gonna whoop you. I don't care what you think. I'm a good old boy. I'm gonna take you out the woodshed and I'm gonna beat you down. And like, this is not how you book that guy. And just like Woodland said, he was very emotional. These aren't the emotions we really want to see from him. No offense to him, but it just doesn't work for him or what they're trying to do, what they could be doing with it.
And that's the thing. Like, again, I know you have a vast experience in the ring. I know you are you probably could walk into the NWA right now and be an agent for them, be a producer for them, and help write some of this shit. But I'm a dude who's never done any of that, and I can tell you that they're using him wrong. I mean, he needs to go out there and kick some butt. Like, one of the best things I saw is him go out there during that Nick Aldis match. Like, although we didn't get the Jordan Clearwater Nick Aldis part 2 that we were all hoping for, like, at least he was out there fighting. You know what I mean? No talking, no boo-hooing. He was going out there and fighting.
Yep.
And I've referenced this before, but there was a point in time when I was backstage at a Championship Wrestling from Hollywood when Adam Pearce was still there, and he was coaching some of the baby faces on promos. I'm not going to say which wrestler he was coaching, but the wrestler was cutting this promo, and Pearce said, "Stop. Just stop." And everyone turns around and looks at Pearce, and he goes, "You sound like a whiny bee." I'll let you guys put in the rest of the letters. If you're a face, the fans need a reason to cheer for you, not to hear you crying. I heard somebody in the chat, I think it was Woodland Goblin, said something about him being crying. We don't need
Right.
that. We need if he's going to be the hero, the guy that you push, then he comes out there and says, "Aldis, you got me good. You tricked me, but I'm gonna come back and I'm gonna come get you." And that, just simple as that. We don't need, we don't need him holding a baby. We don't need him.
Yeah.
I don't want that for Murdoch.
But again, what I think they're aiming for, these regurgitated 1980s NWA promos and storylines, and it's like, look, you can still get across what you're trying to get across without just completely, number one, ripping something off, number two, dating yourself and making things that are somewhat tone deaf to what even that your show doesn't even do, because the show itself broke the fourth wall in the first promo, and then you come over here and you want us to believe this fantasy world exists, and you don't even acknowledge it yourself. And I think, and then not only that, but you contradict your little fantasy world by having him in your studio. So it's kind of weird, and I agree. Why not set it up back home where he's at, or at least make it look like a living room? You're on a TV set, for God's sakes. At least make it look like somebody's house, or living room,
or maybe film it at a hotel room. You know what I mean? Like they had.
I don't know. Yeah. All he had to get a hotel, or yeah. I mean, you could. Man, come on. Somebody told me to cut a promo on the fire alarm that hit the floor.
Let's do it.
That. Now listen here, brother. you talked your noise for the last time. There, I don't. Give me a minute, okay? Give me a minute. Maybe I can come up with something, but I don't know. I'm gonna read some of the chat, some stuff in the chat, just to see where they're at.
Yeah.
He even admits he's, see, and it's like our guys in the chat can't help but make fun of him, and that's like that. They're right. They should be making fun of him. And this is the thing. For one, God almighty, if Trevor Murdoch ever watches this show, which he probably won't, but if he does, big man, I ain't saying you suck. like in all reality, top 3, top 4 workers in the company by far. And when he gets in the ring, like I said, I'll watch him and Tom Latimer wrestle.
Yes.
20 times in a row.
Yes.
I'll watch them stand there on microphones going, I love it. I would pay to watch them stand in the ring, walking around, bucking up to each other, going, I pay to see that. That's what I want to see.
Yeah.
And I just think it's like oil and water. It's like, again, we've harped on this long for a while, and we've said it a lot, that it's just, there's talents there. It's just that at some point, I feel like the talent needs to step up themselves and start saying, hey, we can, why again, you don't have to totally poo-poo somebody's idea to make a little changes here and there on it. That's all I'm saying.
Well, Woodland just said, Murdoch, send your wife and big kids to go work for 30 days. And that reminded me of that Ricky Morton promo when he was talking about how he needs wrestling to feed his kids. I'm like, Ricky Morton, your kids are as old as I am. What are you talking about, pal?
Well, Ricky Morton doesn't need NWA wrestling. Maybe he needs his whatever he does out on the indies and all that. I mean, I can see that. But no one's buying that the NWA is paying your bills. Maybe Nick Aldis. But anyway. Oh, look at DK wants to come in and start badgering us, huh? Somebody told me to do my get a white T-shirt and do my DKM impression. Is this about the good time for it?
Yeah, go get your shine box, sure. That's funny.
Listen, this is not nice. Listen, back when Fritz von Erich used to book at World Class Championship Wrestling, it used to take 30 weeks to put one match together. I don't understand why we're not building this stuff up like this. How's that?
You don't have a knife, though. You need a knife to trim your beard.
DK, we love you, man. We miss you. Come on. Anyways, carry on.
So we basically covered the promo. I don't think we need to say anything more about it.
No, we do. We have to talk about where Mae Young busts in and asks these, like, it was entertaining. It wasn't good for Trevor Murdoch, but it was entertaining. She asked him, like, you seem a little upset about this. And Trevor Murdoch, like, he wasn't expecting her to ask it. It, like, threw him off. And I'm like, okay. And then she's like, you seem sad about this. And it's almost like he was about to start crying. I just think, again, May Valentine is great. Sounds like on the cuff, you know, kind of with the back and forth. And it's almost like they need to put her with the people they want to look stupid, not the people they're trying to build up.
Kev, you said Mae Young. You meant May Valentine.
Oops. May Valentine. Yes, Mae Young. Yeah.
Put her through a table. So, getting past that, then I think the next big thing, where we got some good news, we heard some forward momentum, is that Nick Aldis, with his graciousness.
Oh, stop! Time out. What was Trevor Murdoch talking about that he gets the shot at the world title?
Yeah, again.
Where did that come from? Did anybody else notice that?
Yeah.
He's like, I'm proud that I get a chance at the world title. And I'm like, you do? Because you just lost a match for a world title shot to leave town, and you never left, and now you're getting the title shot?
No, I mean...
Did you notice that? I had to rewind it to make sure I heard what I thought I heard. Was I right?
No, Again...
Woodland, I may have Mae Young going through my head, you know, just saying.
Well, she did take a mean powerbomb, so, I mean...
She got Mark Henry.
One time I heard Bubba Ray say something like, Mae Young went up to him and said, like, are you going to put me through the table? He says, yeah, I'll make sure to get you protection. He goes, you better do it damn right, or something like that. Like, something way more aggressive than you'd expect an old lady to say.
Well, you know, she did come up with Moolah, so God only knows what they did to those poor girls. Anyways, moving on.
Okay, so that brings us to where we actually hear some new information. We get something that kind of progresses the show. This is, to me, was the whole reason why you would even have this show, is that you get Aldis sitting there with May and Joe Galley. And, of course, Aldis isn't a big fan of Joe Galley. Aldis isn't a big fan of me either. But you have Aldis and Galley and May, and they bring up the tag team, and Aldis says, okay, well, hey, just to let you guys know, the number one contenders for the tag titles are Strictly Business in Chris Adonis and Tom Latimer. And at first I thought, well, that's kind of insane. What did they do to deserve a tag team title shot? But then upon further inspection, like, you start thinking about the tag team division of this show, and really, they're the only ones that have a tag team victory win outside of Mims and Slice Boogie, and those guys aren't even tag teaming. So it only does make sense that Strictly Business gets a shot at Stevens and Kratos, because The End, who were a phenomenal tag team, they took the L, and then the War Kings also took the L. So I was okay with it. Kevin, what do you think about Strictly Business, Adonis and Latimer getting a shot at the tag titles?
Everybody don't fall out of your chairs. I'm gonna agree with DK on this one. I really don't like the Nick Aldis calling the shot stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, to some extent, it's fine. But, for him to be the one to come out and tell us who the title contender is and all that, and then Galley later on says something to the effect of, if they're still the tag champions.
Like, and notice how, and that's to the next part, but let's just get to the next part, okay? Because the next part is Galley really ruffles Aldis's feathers by telling him that in 3 weeks' time, there will be a 14-man over-the-top rope battle royal, and the winner becomes the number one contender for the 10 pounds of gold. And to what you were saying, he mentions that there will be no tag teams, no champions allowed in that battle royal. So no Pope, no Adonis, and no Kratos and Stevens. But he never mentioned, like, well, if Adonis is not champion at that point, he could be in the... He didn't say that. I thought that was just a weird way of saying it for Kratos and Stevens. Like, maybe they're going to drop the belts before the pay-per-view. Maybe they're going to drop the belts on Power. It just, again, why are we doing that? Huh?
But why would he say, if just the tag champs, if they're still the champions?
Yeah.
Again, I mean, I think we all know that they're not going to be the champs very much longer. But like, why make it so obvious? Like, it's kind of reminds me back when they were like, Kratos looks really unhappy on the apron for the whole match. You couldn't even tell he looked unhappy.
And that's how he looks.
It's like, and then of course he acts. It just and again. So let me think. 3 weeks from now, and now Murdoch's been off for a week. 30 days. Trevor Murdoch already blew his cover by saying he's getting a shot at the belt.
Well, and then to make matters worse, like that...
And then no champions can be in it. I wonder, does that mean that Latimer and Adonis won't be able to be in the Battle Royal? And then because they're going to win, because Joe Galli already told us? And Trevor Murdoch's getting a shot anyways, because he already told us?
And then, to make matters worse, right, because there still hasn't been a card announced yet for the pay-per-view. Now they're kind of like, with all these hints, they still haven't released a card for the pay-per-view. And so, like, with that 30 days, I mean, it's literally 30 days from today. 30 days from right now, 1 month from today, they're going to have the pay-per-view. And they have yet to announce a single match. So, by next Tuesday, by that third Tuesday, when they have that battle royal to determine the number one contender, they're only going to have about a week before that match is made, I'm assuming, for the pay-per-view.
Right.
So
is that the one that's already on Fight TV?
Yeah, it's
already on there.
Circus
looking thing.
Yeah, it's when shadows fall or something like when our shadows fall. Which again, all we know about this pay-per-view is it's got this weird emo goth name, and that somebody from some band or something is going to be doing the song for it. It's like they announced the pay-per-view, they didn't announce a single match. They still haven't announced a single match. It's like, come on, guys, I want to give you my money. And I'm actually encouraging everyone that's watching this video right now, don't pre-order this pay-per-view. Don't order this pay-per-view until they give you some matches, because nothing's going to change with the NWA until it starts affecting their pocketbooks. And I got to be honest, I know people who bought that pay-per-view like that. Didn't even think twice about it. There's no matches even announced yet. This is ridiculous. This irks me more than anything else, more than the bad booking, more than the Nick Aldis and his gratuitous, over-the-top, overly booked gimmicks for matches. This is what pisses me off, is that they're expecting me to pay $20 and they won't even give me a match? They won't tell me what matches are on the card? Nuts to that. No.
Woo!
I'm fired up, man.
I would make sure to keep your blinds closed at night, man. Billy Corgan might have his people out to get you now after that.
I'm just saying, man.
You may just send Dave Marquez. He's got his people. Maybe he'll send his people over to protect you out there.
I'm just saying.
No, I agree with you, Jay. I can't disagree. Because they're playing with your money. Yeah, I agree.
Kevin, you've known me for at least, since 2010. So for 11 years you've known me, Kevin. And for 11 years I've been a staunch supporter of the National Wrestling Alliance. I've bought in every pay-per-view. Hell, I flew to China to see the world's heavyweight champion Nick Aldis defend the belt. I was at the first Championship Wrestling from Hollywood TV taping. I was at the NWA Showcase tapings. Guys, I flew to Atlanta to be a part of the first Power tapings. I was there when Nick Aldis won the title at the 70th anniversary show. I was at the Crockett Cup. Guys, I put my money and my miles out there to support this brand. I'm a staunch supporter of this brand, and I'm telling you, it's not right that they're promoting a pay-per-view. They're telling you to go out and buy, and they're not even giving you a card.
You know, I'm going to say something, Jay, that, you know, I truly think that because, you know, maybe I was a wrestler, and most people in the business probably still don't realize that I'm a fan, nor would they really respect me as a fan anymore. I know that sounds hard to believe, but that's just kind of how it is for guys that have wrestled or out of the business or retired or whatever. When you say something like that, though, it really carries some weight. If I say it, I'm just a bitter old wrestler that's retired and mad that I'm not in the ring anymore. And my money probably really doesn't matter. They don't care about my money because I'm not the one they're trying to get anyway. I'm gonna watch wrestling one way or another. Probably you are too. But my point is that, like, when you hear, for me, when you hear somebody who is a true blue fan, who, for us, or for me, especially when I was a wrestler, but even somebody now, like, you make the world go round. Like, fans are what in the wrestling world make the world go round. Like, without fans, there's a bunch of dudes in tights playing with each other. It's true. And that's why, like, when all of the virus stuff happened, like, people know what to do. Because the vehicle, the thing that makes it happen are the people that go to the shows and watch. And so, like, for me, it's almost like empathy. It's almost pains me because wrestling's hurt me physically, emotionally, and mentally to my core at some point or another, and that's part of what you accept when you get in it. But it's almost like fans are almost like our kids. Like, you should never have to experience that. At least that's how it feels to me. So NWA, anybody that watches the show, if you come and watch this show, you don't have to listen to me. You can think I'm some old bitter wrestler that he's just mad at the business that he never got a contract with WWE. Heck yeah, I'm mad. I wish I'd love to have worked for that. That's not why, but fine, don't listen to me. But listen to the guy on the show with me. I bet you my buddy DKM feels the same way. In fact, he'll probably give it in harsher words than Jay. And the fact that Jay, who has, like, literally, is as much as any wrestler, blood, sweat, and tears for the NWA, for him to say something like that, I wasn't expecting to say that. I'm expecting Jay to be like, hey, but, you know, pay-per-view is going to be, do what Jay always does. But, you know, it's really interesting to hear that the rope has gotten that you've shortened the rope on him that much. Especially since, 2 years ago, you were in the studios in Atlanta as one of the first supporters.
I was there it was October 2019. You know what I mean? And I'm going to take it a step further, man. I'm not trying to brag here. I'm not trying to, wail as this Jay Calhoun. But, I mean, I was in the documentary, guys. I was in the history and tradition of the NWA. They used my footage because they knew that I wasn't just a fanboy. I have some credence to what I say. And I'm not trying to use my voice to blackball anybody or anything else, but I think it's as a business owner, right? Because I'm a business owner too, guys. This is what I do for fun. This doesn't make me any money. I have a real job, and I support my family, and I have a home and everything else. I would never expect somebody to pay for something without knowing what they're going to get. And I think it's ludicrous that the NWA is saying, here, buy this pay-per-view. It's nice. It's nice. You're going to love it. They haven't announced a match. And there's
just trust us.
Yeah.
Because it really helped instill some of that.
And I'll be honest, 2 years ago, I flew to Atlanta because I trusted them. Because I saw the work that they put in. Everyone who calls Jay Cal an Aldis hater, like, you guys got to understand, I was all on board with the Aldis Crusade. Like I said, I flew to China to see the guy create history. You know what I mean? Like, that wasn't free. I had to pay for that. me traveling to Tennessee, to North Carolina, to Georgia, of course in my own backyard, those were all because I was a fan, and I still am, of Nick Aldis. As the wrestler, he's still one of the best. But I feel like this company is taking advantage of the goodwill that they built 2 years ago. And I don't feel like they're delivering on the promise of presenting this new product. If this was the 20-year plan, man, I feel like I got hosed. And I'm not saying that things can't be fixed, but I'm saying this is unacceptable to me.
So I'm going to change the subject because, and I'm going to actually, before I do that, Jay, just kind of acknowledge, you're right. I mean, you're right. Because, the truth is you're the paying customer. And you're not that customer that's hard to deal with. So it's not like you're that squeaky wheel. So you're right. I mean, anyways, they did ask me what I'm eating. This is a fish taco.
Nice.
From right down the street here in Florida. A little avocado on it. Pretty delicious. Yep. I felt like food could be a way to lighten the tone a little bit, just because. But honestly, Jay's cutting the promo tonight, and I'm glad to hear it, because I think it's important that someone who has invested so much, you've earned the right to have an opinion. I like what Sean Mega said. Maybe if they had fans, they could boo this crap.
Boom, roasted.
Oh man.
Now let's transition this, because we've gone way longer than we should have for a 30-minute recap show. But let's talk about something that I really feel like the NWA did a smart thing. In fact, I'm going to celebrate this as probably the best decision they've made since they've come back. And that's because Jazz, who recently retired from in-ring competition, has been hired. She's going to be a part of the NWA going forward as a producer agent for the National Wrestling Alliance. And this is good on so many reasons, because one, Kevin will tell you, she eats, breathes, sleeps, dreams. She is pro wrestling. And I feel very good about that. I feel like, wow, that's a great move for the NWA, because she's somebody who gets it. She had WrestleMania moments, She's one of 3 people to be an NWA Women's World Champion and a WWE Women's World Champion. So I'm very excited about that. I think this is where, at least in the women's division, we're going to see a step up, right? The other part to this is that, a lot of people were speculating with Thunder Rosa. Her contract expires at the end of the year. A lot of people think she's halfway out already. I kind of feel like that's what the whole May Valentine point was earlier. Jazz is training those talents at Mission Pro at the Dog Pound Dojo. They're literally training talents, and I feel like this might be a good way to see new faces and new blood into the NWA, and at the very least have that trust that the person producing the match and agenting the match has this experience and is involved. I think this is really good. Kev, I know you have a lot to say about Jazz. I'm gonna hand you the mic.
When Rodney, who was my primary trainer, but Jazz was the person I did a huge amount of my in-ring work with, and a lot of the moves that you saw Jazz do on WWE, I got to be the guy that she messed those moves up on 1 or 2 times. Rodney always told a story about how when they broke in with Junkyard Dog, that Jazz, JYD, made Jazz. That's what Rodney said. And apparently, from what I know about what he said, Rodney never seen a person work harder than Jazz worked during that time. By the time I caught up with them, they had already, started being successful wrestlers. And Like, Jazz was a person that we would work on drills for hours. And I don't exaggerate when I say hours. I mean hours. I feel like she would come in after we had been working on this for a long time. She would come in and do everything we did in 15 minutes. Like, pop, pop, pop. I mean, she was the best professional wrestler I've ever seen in my life. And like I said, I've been in the ring with Daniel Bryan, who many consider the greatest wrestler of the generation. And I'm telling you right now, Daniel Bryan is not on her level. And that's not a knock, dude. Daniel Bryan is unreal. But I would say Jazz was the most exceptional athlete I've ever been in the same vicinity of. I played football with NFL linebackers and baseball with MLB pros, and I've been in the ring with a who's who of professional wrestlers. And I'm telling you, like, I've never seen an athlete quite like Jazz. I got so many stories I could tell. And the thing that made her exceptional was not her athletic ability, but her unwillingness to settle for anything less than greatness. And I think that is going to be, or could be, something that could help take not only the women's division to the next level, but if she's allowed to produce fruit in that division, it might spill over into the decision-making process in the men's division. I don't think a woman can't book men's wrestling. Period. That's just the way I'm going to say it. I would tell you that she had better ideas than the majority of the guys that are booking it right now. The other thing is I would love to see Rodney Mack get involved in the booking at some point, and in that same capacity, because we used to do shows in Louisiana when they first got out of WWE, and went down and did a lot of events for them when they first moved back down to Lafayette. And the way they would book the cards, I mean, you felt like you were at like an ECW event, because the things that we were telling you, that I've been telling you about, like how they can use the talent at NWA, actually that's where I learned it, was doing these events. We would have a card of maybe 4 really good wrestlers. So you're not going to book like 6 matches when only 2 of those matches are actually going to be really good. That's just bad booking. So they would book the first half of the show in a way where one night we had a promo that turned into an impromptu match that somehow turned into a tag match that somehow ended up into like a battle royal or something. I don't know. But like, they used the talent in a way that no one was exposed for what they weren't good at. Practice is the place to expose somebody, not in the match in front of the paying fans. That's not the time to make Thunder Rosa look like an idiot. You do that in the back. You do that man-to-man, face-to-face, or woman-to-woman, face-to-face. You don't passively, aggressively throw them under the bus on TV. That's just coward. But they would book the talent in a way where they would use all the strengths. And then the match we'd have, Jazz would come out and do a popcorn match and blow the crowd through the roof in a 6-minute match. And then I would go out and wrestle the semi-main in a work rate match, and Rodney would wrestle a big heavyweight in the big payoff match and beat the hell out of each other. And the fans were just left ecstatic. Like they could not wait till the next show. People were falling out the doors. So I know that Jazz knows how to book, and I know she knows how to coach and direct talent, and I know she won't settle for anything less than the best that they would give them. But like we talked about off air, and I'm going to say it on air, is that I'd like to believe that they're going to allow her to do that. But do I trust them to do that? I don't think there's a lot of trust right now. So I'm not going to say I do. But I'm a man of faith. And faith is amoral. Where you put your faith is what makes it what it is. I'm going to put my faith in something good's going to come out of this. So that's going to be hope. And so I'm going to hope. I'm not going to bet on it. I'm not going to put my green dollar on it. I'm not going to bet on it. But I'm going to hope that they allow Jazz to come in and actually make some changes and do some things, especially in the area of maximizing the talent that they have, because that has been the biggest drop in the NWA so far. It's just not maximizing what they have. You've heard me use the 911 comparison. You know, you don't have 911 go out there and wrestle Dean Malenko and Eddie Guerrero match. You have Dean Malenko and Eddie Guerrero go out there and wrestle the work rate match. You have 911 come out and squash a crappy match. When Mims and Slice Boogie are out there, you have Jack Stain come out, give 2 spears, and everybody pops out. That's what should have happened. So, there's my 2 cents.
Chris Drummond says, honest question, what gets the NWA over the hump? Bigger names, better marketing, or something else? And I'm telling you, it's not the bigger names. When this show was on YouTube, and it was produced a little bit better, and it was a little bit more crisper, and the storylines made a little bit more sense, the continuity was a little bit there, the show had a big fan base, and I think it would have continued to grow had the pandemic not put a big pause on everything. So I think what's going to make the show better and how it's going to get better is time and actually giving the talent an opportunity to be the talent. And my camera just went off again, so anyways, we're going to wrap up the show because it's we've been doing this for an hour and 30 minutes, and as much as I love you guys, this was a half an hour recap show. So
well, we go all in on an hour show, so what's the difference?
So Kevin,
and honestly, we come on here to hang out and talk wrestling and hang out with our buddies on the chat. So more than anything is worth it, Jay, just to hang out with you, my friend. We got to talk a little baseball. Miguel Cabrera, by the way, is batting .098, so they're going through the same thing out there in Detroit that you guys are in Anaheim. And so anyway, more than anything, I'm just glad to hang out with you, Jay. I'm glad DK showed up. Glad to hang out with you guys in the chat. Love you guys.
Always a blast.
Again, it's a blast.
Always.
It's a blast.
Now, Kev, where can folks find you on the social medias? They wanna get more of this this modern day hero history, tradition, everything. Tell them how can they follow you?
For wrestling content, you're probably going to want to look on YouTube. You can search Kevin Douglas Wrestling. I know Kevin Frazier. You may want to start throwing up in parentheses Douglas on there just for make it easier for people to Google it. Kevin Douglas Wrestling on YouTube. You'll find a bunch of matches. I mean, probably upwards of over 100. I do have a channel on YouTube that has a bunch of matches and stuff from my wrestling career. That would be Kevin Douglas 247. If you want to see my other YouTube channel, which is a little more workout, motivational speaking, I just started seeing it in my church, so they're going to be live streaming that. So might get a little bit of that. But that's going to be just Kevin 247, mostly not wrestling related. And if you want to find me on Instagram, it's Kevin Lee Frazier. And also on Twitter, it's Kevin Lee Frazier. Facebook, Kevin L. Frazier. Love to see you guys. Come give me a follow.
If you guys are interested in acquiring some dope merchandise that represents your favorite podcast, your favorite wrestling website, the Alliance blog, you can find us on all social medias at Instagram, TikTok, Tumblr, Facebook. Of course, you're watching us on YouTube or on Twitch. We appreciate you doing so. Visit the website, alliance-wrestling.com. Follow the merch link so you can get one of these cool hats or cool shirts. And we'll be here on Tuesday to do the pre-party where we're going to talk about what hope we have for POWERRR. And then we're also going to talk again on Thursday about what we get from POWERRR. So I hope you guys will join us. And again, we also put this podcast up on our audio podcast If you would prefer to listen to us instead of look at these handsome faces, you can do that. Just search the Alliance blog and all your favorite podcast listening places. We're there. So that's going to do it. Ladies, gentlemen, thank you so much for being here. Kev, it's always fun to have you here. And guys, we'll see you next week at the matches. So y'all have a good night now. And now.